right, welcome back, everybody, to the Fast and Slow podcast. I'm your host, Nick, and with me, as always, is Nate, and we have another guest, Rubbin.
Right. What's up?
Jason Rubbin Wright. How we doing?
Doing pretty good.
Hell yeah! So, Rubbin and I, we deployed together back in 2015, which is crazy. That's over 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
And kept in touch over the past decade. Big car guy. And just looking forward to having this conversation. You have a big history in motorsports and instructing and building, and so I think it'll be a good conversation to maybe look back on your motorsports career and then talk about what you got behind you.
Yeah, you bet.
Cool, cool. All right, man. Let's start with just who you are, where you're from, and then let's just get into it, and then we'll pepper in some questions as we go.
Yeah, you bet. So, Jason Wright, grew up in Oregon, Salem, Oregon. It's kind of standard upbringing there. I went to high school and then college. I had a brief stint there in community college, and then I think one of my professors told me I wasn't good at school, basically, and encouraged me to pursue other things. Those things being auto racing, because I was actually writing. I was in business class, writing papers about race cars in business class, and this professor said, "You are a terrible student to be looking at that race car thing." So that's what I did, a brief foray into auto racing before eventually joining the Air Force and flying B-1s.
Cool.
I got to know, Rubbin.
Yes, sir.
How does that get started?
So I got named. So yeah, in the Air Force you get a call sign eventually, and it's usually at your first combat squadron. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, your first combat squadron, you usually get named, and so I guess I had made it kind of known that I like cars and had done some racing before the Air Force, and so there was, I guess, a Days of Thunder fan in the audience. Usually, it's the older guys in the squadron that are in charge of coming up with the names. So he was a Days of Thunder fan, and there's a line in that movie that Rubbin's racing.
Hell yeah!
So that's where that came from. And so it was either going to be that or Ricky Bobby, and I think Ricky Bobby had too many syllables.
Yeah,
syllables to a minimum.
Rubbin's better because it forces you to ask. It's not immediately clear. It's
yeah.
Like, Rubbin?
Yeah, it has been mistaken for an inappropriate.
Even better.
Yeah. So it's almost been taken away a time or two, but.
Which is hysterical because that's nowhere even close to the reason. So
yeah.
Went your way out of that one, but cool. So what was your first? You said you're into racing, and that kind of you're forced to go race cars by your community college professor.
Yeah.
What did he force you to race first?
Well, let's see. I think prior to that, I had wanted to do go-karting. That never happened because it was expensive. My folks didn't have money for that. While I was in high school, this kind of predates the whole community college thing, but I got into autocross a little bit. So I think the first thing that I autocrossed was a '86 GTI.
That's cool.
So I did that. Then I think after I graduated, I bought a '83 Porsche 944, and I autocrossed that. And that was fun, but I wanted to do more racing. And I think about the time I was having this community college experience, interestingly enough, my parents were on a business trip to California, and they sat next to a salesman for Skip Barber Racing School. And my parents said, "Hey, my son's looking into racing schools." I had been looking at Jim Russell Racing School, which was at Sears Point, and I think I was looking at Bondurant in Arizona at the time. And my parents just happened to sit next to this guy and get his phone number. So, long story short, I sold the Porsche to finance my 3-day racing school at Laguna Seca. And it was actually a speed week. So it was a 3-day racing school, 2 practice days, a lapping day, and then a race weekend. So I hawked my dream Porsche to go do racing school.
Interesting. How was that a tough decision? Did you feel like, I guess, what was after racing school? Did you have a plan?
Not really. I mean, I was 18 years old, so in your 18-year-old mind, you just go to racing school and then you go pro. Probably, the Andretti's show up and put you on the payroll. But
Yeah.
so that was about as far out as I was thinking at that point. I just wanted to get the experience because I knew there was things I didn't understand about how to drive. I was good at doing burnouts and I was good at getting the car sideways and stuff like that. But beyond that, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was kind of a hammer.
Did you,
So
after you got through that school, was it just the bug bit you hard? Or I'm sure the autocross helped, with the bug, but,
Oh
after
yeah,
the school, were you just like, what's next? Even though I don't know what's next, how do I get to the next iteration?
100%. I instantly realized I had I knew even less than I thought I knew. Um, because it's such a huge jump from a street car to a formula car. It's capable of so much more, and when you take that step, you're just not quite there. So
Mhm.
I know I needed a lot more practice. I just didn't know how to make the money work because I'm a college student. My parents aren't rich, and so you got to figure out a way to fund it. So the funny thing about the Skip Barber School was I noticed mechanics jumping into the cars and taking laps while I was there, and so I asked them like, "Hey, what's up with that?" And what the deal was, as an employee of Skip Barber, you could uh, get half price on all the stuff they do. And they, at that time, had a nationwide uh, race series where you could travel around and race these things. And they also had a ladder system that went all the way up to IndyCar. So, as a mechanic, theoretically, you could work for them, get paid to travel with them, and then run the race series as a mechanic for half price. So I went home to Oregon. I got the name of the hiring manager for Skip Barber, who was in Connecticut. And I called him up and I said, "Hey, I know how to work on stuff. I'd like to be a mechanic. Can you give me a job?" He said, "Yeah, we got one spot in Wisconsin, so Road America, Wisconsin." And that particular crew would work in Wisconsin in the summer and do the Midwest series for Skip, and then they would travel to Sebring in the winters and run the Southern series out of Sebring. And I said, "I'll be there." So I packed up. I had gotten an RX-7 at that point, so it's like a '87 Turbo 2 that barely ran. So I packed all my crap in there and drove out to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin.
Nice. You showed that teaching lady what was up.
That's right. Yeah, she was right. She was right because I had a lot more focus and determination to do race car stuff than I ever would have to get through college. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So you led with, you could work on cars, that's kind of how you sold yourself. Was that all truth? Like at that point, had you worked on race car things up to a point where you're confident to advertise yourself as a a mechanic, or did you use that as a way to make it happen?
Well, I hadn't worked on race cars. I was pretty truthful about that, but I had done, my dad had a fleet of square body Chevys that I was in charge of the maintenance,
Oh, cool.
most of it since I was 13. And then I had motorcycles that I worked on all the time. And so I'd rebuild a couple, two-stroke engines, and
Hmm.
I had some tools so I could, uh, I had the basics. Because the other things I was looking at were uh, Jim Russell Racing School, like I talked about, but they actually made you pay to come and be a mechanic because it was seen as like a feeder or a training ground for IndyCar. So
Hmm.
they'd make you pay to work on the cars. Um, and I was looking at I was UTI technical or something like that in Arizona, where you could
Hmm.
get ASE certification
Yeah,
to
yeah.
become a mechanic. But Skip Barber would pay you, albeit it was like $250 a week. It was basically poverty, living. But they were paying you, and you could still get a job in IndyCar or NASCAR as a mechanic. Anyway,
That's cool.
What Skip Barber at the time, was it all open wheel Formula style cars? Is that were you looking for any opportunity or were you specifically interested in the open wheel road course stuff?
I would have, I would take anything, and I still would race anything now, but I was really dead set on Indy cars and Formula One.
Mm.
And then once you get immersed in the open wheel community, um, that's all they talk about. That's really the only goal,
Hmm.
the acceptable goal. NASCAR was kind of frowned upon uh, in that circle. So yeah, I was all about Formula cars for a long time.
Nice. So after that, how does the Air Force come in?
Oh man, so it's
I hope it's a happy story.
well, yeah, sort of. I mean, it's just the reality of the costs of racing and just the eventualities of crashes and things like that. But so I'll tell you, I did my first season. It was '97 Midwest season at Road America as a mechanic. So I was working a lot, jumping into the car when I could, and doing a couple races. But I wasn't making a whole lot of money, so I was only able to do a few races. But I was able to jump in the car and break in, bed brakes and
Yeah.
break in transmissions and stuff. So I got some track time. And then I happened across the Bridgestone Racing School, which was in Shannonville Motorsports Park in Canada. They were advertising a runoff where the winner gets a free season in the Bridgestone series. So went home as the that Midwest crew was going to Sebring, uh, saved some money, entered myself in that Bridgestone runoff, and ended up in second place there. So I didn't win that one. That was second place by like a tenth of a second, which was kind of a bummer.
Oh
Yeah.
man. What type of track is that? I'm not familiar with. Is that a
It's a little road course.
yeah, the like traditional road course or like street course style or
Yeah, it's out in the country, so it's just traditional.
Mhm.
Nothing real fancy.
Man, a tenth. That's that's tough.
It was heartbreaking. Um, but then I decided, well, I got to go back to Skip Barber and start leveraging that half price uh, discount. So I did that. Ended up in Sebring, worked a winter down there, saved up enough money to run a Midwest season, and got a lot more testing and races. And so, went to my first Midwest season and did okay. Man, I can't remember where I ended up in that championship. It was like 11th or something. Um, so it was okay, but by the end of it, I was uh, about on pace with the fast guys. Then I did another winter season in Sebring. Did more. They did what they called memorial races, so you can get in a race, and it's kind of at the end of the weekend. Whatever cars are left, people go out and just kind of race for fun.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So I do those for practice. Saved up my money again, and then went back to Road America and did the Midwest Series again. That time I finished seventh, I think, in the championship. I had a couple kind of gnarly wrecks uh, that hurt my points a little bit, but that year I think there were a lot of fast guys. They had started a go-kart uh, ladder system at that point, so they're bringing in go-kart kids from all the national championship series, putting them through a racing school at Sebring, and then giving them the winner of that would get a season in the Formula 2000 cars, and then hopefully on through the championships up to IndyCar.
Hmm.
So I was racing guys like Ryan Hunter-Ray and Marco Andretti at that point,
Hmm.
and a couple other dudes that I can't remember their names, but
So how'd that deal work with consumables? You say you got a discount by working for them, but like, I mean,
yeah.
obviously they provide the car. Are they, is that everything? They include like, hey, tires, brakes, wear and tear, wrecks. Like, how did that work?
Yeah, it covers. So you'll pay. Oh, back then it was $2,500 to do a race weekend, and about $1,000 for every practice day, and that covers all the gas, brake pads, tires, all that stuff. There's a crew there to service the cars. Doesn't cover race damage though.
Hmm. Yeah.
So you would pay for insurance, and you'd have a deductible. I forget what the deductible was, but you could total a car and walk away with like a $5,000 bill on a totaled car.
Oh,
I
jeez.
bet that changes your calculus when you're going to send it deep.
Yeah, I didn't have any money. I had enough money to get through without any crash damage. The nice part about what I was doing there, I was a mechanic, so it's good and bad because I'd have to race and then hop out and work on the cars. But my roommate was also the parts guy, so he would cut me some pretty sweet bro deals when I would tow a car because that happened a couple times.
I think Nick and I have talked about this in the past. Did you ever find it conflicting to be a mechanic and a driver at the same time? Did you have too much mechanical sympathy, so to speak, behind the wheel?
No, I love to destroy cars. To
Nice.
be honest with you, I even take my own stuff and I just break it. Nick saw me blow up that dirt car in South Dakota, I think. I don't know if you were there for that.
I was, yeah. We had like two races, I think, and
Yeah,
she was gone. So,
yeah. And that's because it was it wasn't the greatest car, and it had a kind of a terrible tack that you couldn't see. So I wasn't sure really what RPM it was running. So I just kept gearing it down until it sounded like everybody else's car. And it turns out that was about 9,000 RPM too many.
You were probably like one octave higher than everybody else's car.
Yeah, wasn't good. So no, I like to break cars. I think it's kind of fun. I used to take all the Formula 2000 cars out. If there was something wrong with them, I would go out and try to figure it out. But I've driven cars with like blown out shocks, alignments way off, like crooked frames, because I think it's kind of fun to see how they operate when they're not quite right. But I think it's an advantage if you can learn how to drive things quickly that aren't necessarily working great. That was my rationale anyway.
yeah. That's cool. So you did, like you said, 2 or 3 seasons in the Skip Barber League. Is that good readback?
Yeah, that's about right.
Okay. And then from there, were there doors that opened or doors that you saw starting to close? Like, how did that transition work? Does that put you close to your Air Force time, or is there some space in between?
Yeah, we're still not quite there because I got to the point that final season in the 2000 cars. I was running with the fast guys. I was tired of spending my own money. I got for my championship, point standings. I got $2,000 to spend any way I could at Skip Barber. So at that time they had the Barber Dodge Pro Car, which was like a Renard chassis with a Dodge V6 in it and a sequential box and wings and slicks. And so I said, well, I want to go test the Pro Car down at Sebring, and then I want to try to get sponsorship to run that series, because that was the feeder to Indy Lights and then IndyCar at that time. So I went to Sebring, jumped in the Pro Car. I burned some decent laps down there, and then it was time to try to figure out. I took a bunch of pictures, for sponsorship packets, and then went back to Oregon, and then tried to get somebody to give me $500,000 to drive race cars for 6 months. And that's kind of what put a stop to it, because it turns out I'm not a great salesman. So I actually had one of my buddies that I worked with at Skip moved out to Oregon with me. He was working as my marketing guy, and so we targeted a bunch of different companies. I just came up with nothing.
Yeah, at that time, I mean, nowadays it's like, how many likes can you get on your social media, and then we'll pay you $500,000 to go race a race car. And
Yeah,
I know that's oversimplifying things today, but I'm sure the environment was much different.
yeah, you're just cold calling people.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Was $500,000? Is that no exaggeration? $500,000?
That's what it took back then to run that. It was basically like an Indy Lights car for 6 months. Yep.
Any idea what it costs now?
It's probably more like $1 million. My guess to run an Indy Lights, maybe more.
That's so wild. Have you ever, like, if you're anybody like me, I'm on Marketplace or Bring a Trailer or something like that, and you see like retired IMSA cars show up every now and then.
Yep.
And you just forget like how much money these guys are just swapping paint with each other for kicks.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it is just ridiculous amounts of money.
And that's to like race a person's car that has an established team, right? That's not you buying a car and a team and all that.
That is the Skip Barber organization back then had a fleet of these Renard Dodges, and they did all the maintenance, everything. You just rent it for $500,000.
Jeez.
And I guess I didn't talk about that, but the formula cars back then that I was driving were like 30 grand to run a 6-month season if you didn't have any wrecks.
Wow. Did you have any sponsorship during that time? Or was it
No. Yeah, it was all me. And then I had to hit up my folks when I would total one occasionally, and they give me a loan, but they weren't too hip on that. Yeah, so that was my big plan. I moved back to Oregon, like I said, to the sponsorship thing. I bought a shifter cart because that's what all the big dogs do. Mm-hmm. So I started driving the shifter cart every day and doing some races out in Oregon. So I was in good shape. But nobody's kicking me down, $1 million to go do what I wanted to do.
I don't know. Even now, not that, I have any desire to be a race car driver, but the go-kart thing is still really appealing, even as an adult.
Oh, they're awesome.
I don't know if it's between like let's call it smiles per lap have got to be sky high compared.
Yeah.
And then I assume the operating cost as a hobbyist is reasonable.
Yeah,
Space is a lesser problem.
Oh yeah, it's definitely the cheapest. You can go that fast and pull that many G's in a corner. That shifter cart I had back then, I think it was under 3 seconds, 0 to 60, and it would, I'm not sure how fast it would go, but it would pull over 5 G's in the corners. It broke my ribs because I was an idiot. So I bought the thing, and the guy who sold it to me said, you got to wear a flak jacket when you're driving these. And I said, I'm not a puss, dude. I won't do that. And sure enough, I took it out, and I didn't crash it or anything. It was just pure G-force that compressed my ribs and snapped a couple of them.
Holy shit.
So I got I got a flak jacket after that.
Dude, that's wild. I had no idea it pulled that many lateral G's. And
Yeah, they are insane.
so my speed's more like Legends car. I think that'd be dope to get one of
Oh
those.
yeah,
Oh, Legends would be sick.
bad.
I mean, I'm not an open wheel guy, but I think Legends would be cool. If it's like a, smile per lap cost,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it'd be pretty cheap. But
yeah, probably be right around go kart level.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's nothing's cheap, but
Yeah.
not $500,000.
Yeah,
Awesome.
So you got the shifter cart. Was that like a way to cheaply or more affordably or cost effectively practice, get
yep.
get laps?
Get seat time at a high G force. Get used to that. Get your neck in shape. Get your arms and your hands in shape. Yeah, for cheap.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I don't know anything about kind of that open wheel progression, but it makes sense. I just had no idea that shifter carts were kind of that, call them a T-38 type thing where it's affordable to go fly compared to other aircraft.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do it. If you're doing it right, you're in go karts when you're 6 years old, and then you run formula cars up the ladder. I just was trying to backtrack and figure out what I missed.
Yeah. And they just have segments of the like the Skip Arbor, or I guess if you're at Sebring, they've got like shifter cart layouts.
Some tracks do have a complex where they've got everything, but a lot of times they'll run shifter carts on a full road course.
Hmm.
I think a 250 shifter had the lap record at Laguna Seca for a lot of years
Okay.
over Indy cars. Like they'll do full tracks.
Jesus.
Yeah, if that's not frightening. I don't know if they also have some heinous wrecks. So I didn't race it a lot because I saw some pretty bad wrecks and those things. Dudes getting life flatted out.
Yeah, it's got to be on par with like, you know, sport bike racing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
there's no
how could it not
protection.
be? It's similar speed, similar protection, if not less, maybe.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think the rationale is you're supposed to like pop out of the cart when they flip over, but most guys the cart just lands on them. The ones I've seen anyway.
Yeah, how heavy are those things? You got to be, unlike a motorcycle, I would think that the person's the heaviest part.
I think so. I don't remember how much my frame was, but it was pretty easy to lift up. Yeah, there wasn't much to it.
Yeah, in that case, like accident, I would assume it's the person that's absorbing most of the energy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's sick.
Yeah. So shifter carts weren't your thing.
Yeah, I mean they were great. I put in thousands of laps in that thing. I just didn't race it a lot. It was amazing to drive
Yeah.
once you got the stamina to do it. But yeah, not much better for the money, like you guys are saying.
Hmm.
Cool. So you realize that shifter carts, or not shifter carts, but kind of the sponsorshipped racing, not exactly going to pan out. What's going through your mind at that time? What's your next step? Do you continue to try to keep going down the motorsports route, or do you figure out like, hey, this might be something that I need to shift focus?
Yeah, that was kind of it, dude. I was like 23 at the time, and I'm racing dudes uh, that are like 15, 16 coming out of go karts.
Hmm.
And so it was either it was going to happen right then, or I got to find something else to do. Like I'm 23, I got no health insurance. Like I'm living in poverty, trying to buy race car stuff all the time. So I had to do something else. The guy I was telling you about, Tony, was trying to be my marketing guy. He's like, you know what, dude, you should just be a fighter pilot. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if that's going to work out because I hate college and, you know, I'm just not seeing it. But I started researching it a little bit and, you know, it turns out there's a system in the Air Force where you can, if you put in the work and check all the boxes, you'll probably make that happen. So that's really when I shifted my focus and started. I went back to college, got the good grades, got my pilot's license, and then applied to a bunch of guard units and active duty, and ended up getting picked up on active duty.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I just accepted, like, hey, this is going to be a hobby, the auto racing stuff, and I'm gonna have to fly planes for a living.
Yeah, that's got to be tough because I'm not going the any direction of professional driving, but like I couldn't imagine going like it had to be tough to be like you're racing nearly professionally at that point and then, you got to go do, real life stuff. Right now, like all I can think about is racing, and I'm having a really hard time being a professional or
Uh,
professional uh, human. And so like to have to shift gears like that early on, I'm sure was tough. But I mean, being a pilot's probably also not that bad either.
yeah, when I was rationalizing it, it was, I was trying to break it down into the fundamentals. What are the things I like about racing? And can I find that in an airplane? And I think it was, I like the physicality of it. I like to be, challenged a little bit, but mentally, um, uh, I needed kind of both of those things. And I think the being a pilot almost gets there.
Hmm.
The closest I can equate it to is closed formation in the T-38, like fingertip formation, is about the same level of concentration you need to go wheel to wheel racing.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't quite get there for me. The flying doesn't. I still like racing cars better.
Yeah. Do you have something, Nate?
So how do you get from applying to guards and active duty to, you said you ended up in a B1, right?
Yeah, you gotta compete. So guard units all hire individually. So I put out 31 applications to 31 different fighter units across the country. I got an interview in Boise A-10 unit, and I got an interview at a Homestead F-15 unit. I didn't get either of those, but I did get an active duty interview at McCord Air Force Base, and I got picked up there. Um, so once you're picked up that route, you have to go to officer training school, get through that. As long as you get through that, the way I commissioned anyway, you were going to pilot training. Because when I applied, the options for the application were navigator, air battle manager, or pilot. And so I said, I don't want to do the other ones. I just want to be a pilot. And so that's what I got. So then getting through OTS, you go, they tell you what pilot training base you're going to go to. I went to Vance, and then you compete. So you first go through phase one, which is academics. Then you go to phase two, which everybody at that time was flying T6s. And then you compete. I think we had 13 people in my class. And you get scored on everything you do, tests and flights and simulators. And at the end of phase two, they rack and stack you, top to bottom. And then you get to pick to either go to the fighter bomber track or the tanker airlift track. And then you get your preference based on your rank in the class. And so I ended up going fighter bomber track. Then you jump into the T-38 and you do the same thing all over again. I think it's 4 phases. So contact phase, which is just aerobatics and normal maneuvers, takeoff and landings. Instrument phase, instrument approaches, low level, and then formation. And so you do all those phases and you get a check ride after each phase. And at the end of all that, they rack and stack you again. And then the Air Force sends out a list of available aircraft to the pilot training units, and then the flight commanders have to take their students. Then the number one guy in the class will get his first pick. So if he wants F-22s and there's one available, then that's what he gets, and on down the line. So I forget what all my classmates got. So there was one F-15C, an F-15E, a guy that went back to T6s to be an instructor, and then I got the B1, and there was a guard guy that went to fly F-15s too. So
how'd you feel about the B1?
I was happy about it. It's one of the coolest planes in the inventory in my opinion. Like supersonic, gigantic bomber.
Yeah.
I initially was trying to get the A-10, but honestly, I was really happy with the B1, and I like flying around with three of my best buddies too. A lot more fun than the single seat stuff to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Never met a B1 pilot before, so that's sick.
Yeah, it was a good job for sure.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
When did you get the Camaro? When did that enter the picture?
So let's see. That was in between one of my trips to Wisconsin. So in high school, I had a '78 Camaro. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't. Mm-mm.
Yeah, that was my first Camaro, and I had big plans for that. So I was going to put a 454 in there and do all kinds of stuff. But I don't know what happened. I got distracted probably with racing school, and I sold that at some point too. But yeah, I'd made a trip to Wisconsin. I came back. I was working in Oregon, and I bought this thing probably in 1997 at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember, but it was a beater, real bad. I bought it for $1,500.
Nice.
I immediately exploded the transmission doing a burnout in front of my buddy's house, and then my dad had a big shop back then, so I rolled it into the back of his shop and started tearing it apart because at some point I had hatched an idea with that same guy, Tony from the racing school, that I was going to do the Silver State Classic here in Nevada. So I had like a VHS tape of the big red Camaro screaming down Highway 318 doing 200 miles an hour. I was like, well, that's what I want to do with my Camaro. So I started tearing it apart with that goal in mind.
That's cool.
Nice.
Is it a 4-speed car from the beginning, or did it?
Yeah, it was an automatic.
Okay, yeah. Can you talk to us about the Silver State Classic a little bit? That was what you basically built the car for?
Yeah, I downloaded the rule book and just started buying stuff based on the rule book.
What's the sanctioning body for that? Is there one, or is it its own entity? They don't make you follow SCTA or anything like that?
No, yeah, they've got their own rule book. I'm not sure where they stole it from.
It's got to be a blend of NHRA and
probably.
Yeah.
It's pretty thorough, but the tech inspection, they leave a lot of trust in the operator and the builder, I think, because I don't know. Seems a little sketchy to me.
Yeah, that's I've heard similar stories from SCTA, and if you think about it, it makes sense. Like if you're out there trying to set a record and basically do what's never been done, run faster than anybody's ever gone before, nobody can promise you your well-being in any capacity.
Oh no, the guys looking over the cars are just kind of old retired guys.
Yeah,
I have no idea what their backgrounds are.
Yeah,
they took a look at my car and they're like, yeah, I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah. The rule book only covers what people have already done. If you go out there and set a record and go faster than anybody else, maybe you'll be okay, maybe you won't. I don't know. Nobody's done it.
Yeah, this race is so ridiculous. Initially I thought I wanted to go unlimited because they run it's a time trial, so you're just trying to get as close to your target speed on average over the 90 miles as you can. And they do that all the way up to 180 miles an hour. But then after that, it's unlimited. It's just go as fast as you can go. But you have to graduate through 150, then you have to do a 180 successfully. Then you can go unlimited if you have the car that will actually do it, which the Camaro. The last one I did was a 150 class, and I had a max speed of 165. And I can tell you 163 is about as fast as I got it going, and that was a little sketchy.
Is it a steering box car, or have you done a rack and pinion swap?
No, it's a steering box car.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's nuts. And that was probably the scarier part because I wanted to tighten up the steering, so I put that sweet dirt track box on it, so I could make it one turn lock to lock. And 163 miles an hour, that's a little too much steering authority. Yeah,
too sensitive.
It was 40, and I did it on these wheels and tires, so they're kind of skinny and they're treaded, and so it was walking around a little bit more than I would have liked.
Yeah, damn. And so your first race, was it LS swapped at that point, or did you run like a small block Chevy at the beginning?
So I've always, let's see, I blew up that transmission. I yanked everything out. It was carbureted. And then I bought a LT1 out of a 95 Z28 with the T56 on it.
Okay.
And that's what's been in there since about 1997.
Oh, gotcha. I don't know, for whatever reason, I thought you had a like a LS1. So
Yeah, I was thinking about, I need to LS swap it now because it's completely whipped. Because I put a blower on it in 2014, I think. And so it's got, I think it's a Vortec or a Paxton or something. But I got it off a wrecked Firebird. So everything in the drivetrain is out of the junkyard.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
That's
a
what
while
you
back.
want. That's what you had it when you went 163.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's cool. And you've been doing some track days with it too, right?
Yeah. So they've got I'm out in Vegas, so they've got the Speedway has a inside road course and an outside road course. The outside road course is just outside the oval. And so I've done a track day there, and then Spring Mountain is, I don't know, like an hour outside of town in Pahrump, Nevada. I forget whose school. I'll think of his name in a second, but it's a GM, like a Corvette Cadillac school that operates out of there. But yeah, I've done a track day out there as well.
That's cool. Do you have any plans kind of post, retirement, or like whatever the next phase of your life is? Are you trying to get back into teaching or instructing, or how does that look for you?
I just like to do more track days. The instructing stuff is scary because I guess I didn't cover that part of my history. But there's a racing school in Portland, just called Pro Drive Racing School, and I worked there while I was in college. And then I went back when I went to the Oregon Guard, and I worked for them again, just doing right seat instructor stuff for folks. And it's fun once in a while, but people are crazy, and they don't always listen to what you tell them to do. So, yeah, not so much the instructing stuff, but definitely like to do more track. I've got more plans for the Camaro, so I want to make it a little more drivable. I'd like to put a 4-link on it, LS swap it probably, and make it a little more friendly. Because right now it's just bare metal, no insulation. Pretty heinous to drive anywhere.
Dude, for like, I don't know, probably 2 months while I was working the roll bar and getting everything squared away in there, I didn't have any carpet, and you just can't drive it at all without your protection. Like, it's crazy.
I have to wear earplugs. I'll take it to work once in a while, but it's just rough.
Yeah. No, that's cool. We've been talking lemons and some of the endurance racing stuff. So, sounds like we got a ringer on hand here.
Oh man, yeah. I think I told you, Nick, but I'm also trying to do some desert racing since I'm out in the desert.
Hmm. Oh, that's
So
right. Yeah, yeah. Talk about that a little bit. Maybe we'll finish with that.
yeah, you bet. So I've always wanted to do desert racing. Trophy trucks are awesome, right? So since I was out here, I figured I'd give it a shot. So I again started. It's my MO. I started looking around for schools because I feel like that's the best way to do it. I mean, I did start shopping, trophy trucks and stuff on Facebook Marketplace, and as you can imagine, they're totally out of control as far as money goes. So I found a school. Guy came out here. There's a race that happens every year. It's called the Mint 400. So it's 400 miles, like 4 laps of the desert, just kind of south of Las Vegas. So my intent is to do that race, but I found a guy that runs a school. He also supplies like rents trucks for the races, and so I did a 2-day school in his truck, uh, which was like a kind of miniature version of a trophy truck. I think they call them trophy lights. So it's got 35s on it, and it's got a decent amount of suspension. And I just did a couple days out on the Mint 400 course, figuring out how to drive that thing.
Yeah, the
So
videos you sent were dope. I mean, like that just looks like the most fun you could ever
it
have.
is awesome. It's a lot more 3D uh, than the road course stuff, obviously. Uh, so I spent a lot of time learning how to read terrain and figure out what the truck is going to do. A lot more ups and downs, and a lot more body roll, as you might imagine.
Mhm.
That takes a little getting used to.
Are those? I'm not that familiar. Are those four-wheel drive or two-wheel drive at the trophy truck level?
Well, I wasn't quite trophy truck level. They have a bunch of different classes that I'm not super up to speed on, but they've got both two-wheel drive
Both.
and the super fast ones are four-wheel drive, like 1,000 horsepower, 42 inch tires,
These.
and these psychos are doing like 150 miles an hour on the dirt. So this thing I drove would only go 80, which is
That's pretty fast on the dirt, I think.
it
It's
was
probably
fast. It was fast enough for this because it was also very short. So at 80 miles an hour, it started walking around quite a bit too.
it's probably like riding or driving a boat, like
Yeah,
3 miles an hour on the water is like
yeah.
a million. So
Ah, you got to
Yeah.
be doing like 100, right? No, that's 35.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that's basically where all the shifter cart guys retired to is the trophy trucks. They just
I guess.
psychopaths.
I guess feels like the right place for me right now. But again, I'm in the spot where that truck to run the Mint 400 is probably going to cost me 20 or 30 grand for
God.
one race.
Yeah.
And there's other places around like Brenthal Motorsports I've looked at. They'll rent you a 800 horsepower truck, and I think that was about 70 grand to run the Mint 400.
Is this through the school or is it like an arrive and drive kind of setup?
It is, yeah. I mean, they do. See, they do both. So they'll do schools to generate customers for their arrive and drives.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, both.
that's awesome.
Well, I mean, we could talk afterwards, but I think we could probably swing a sticker like
Yeah.
on the hood. We'll
So
figure
how
out the
big of a
details.
sticker does like $100 get us? Is it like yay big or like
I don't
not
know.
yay big?
That's what I got to figure out. I did Chat GPT to try to, help me out with my sponsorship pitches. So I've got a bunch of stuff preloaded. Uh, I just got to actually send it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be cool. Man, this has been a really good conversation. I'm excited to get this one published. And honestly, Rubbin, Jason, whatever we want to call you, um, I think our interaction or our time that we spent together was at the wrong peak because I was like nowhere near as into road racing and you know
Oh yeah,
motorsports at the time when we were stationed together. And so I'm super happy that we've been able to stay in touch and do stuff like this, and certainly, there's going to be a lot of opportunity to get out to tracks and go rip.
oh yeah, we got to get the Camaros together one of these days.
Hell yeah, dude.
Oh, I
It's
don't know if you guys. I've got my old Formula car on the wall. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh
No.
no. Could you
That's all I got left.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, that's cool.
That's pretty awesome.
Hell yeah.
Anyway,
Cool. Well, Nate, do you have anything else you want to ask him before we close this thing out?
No, it was nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm feeling a Camaro face-off here at some point.
yeah, you know it.
Hell yeah. Cool, Rubbin. Well, man, this has been a good time. And you got anything else you want to say before we close out?
No, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah. Cool. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.